Shadows whisper in the night, lost souls fading out of sight. Echoes linger in the skies through the smoke of ashes and alibis.
Welcome to Ashes and Alibis, the podcast where smoke never clears without a story. Every alibi is tested against the fire of truth. I'm Victor Kane, and each week we dive into chilling true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest corners of human behavior. Some cases are cold, some are burning, but none are forgotten. We don't just tell you what happened. We examine the evidence, challenge the timeline, and ask the questions others won't. Because behind every headline is a human story, and behind every suspect is a shadow. This is Ashes and Alibis, where the truth always leaves a trace. It's the Bryan Kohberger case. 4 people were murdered on an off-campus or on-campus house in Idaho University. People don't really know what happened. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of hearsay, a lot of stories. There's also some weird stuff that happened that night, like some of the roommates not calling the police until noon the next day. So, let's get to the bottom of it. What we do know is it all happened on November 13, 2022. It was at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, right by Idaho University. The victims were Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. The suspect is Bryan Christopher Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology PhD student at Washington State University, right up the road. His charges were 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. The trial date has been scheduled to begin on August 11, 2025 in Boise, Idaho. It's taken them a long enough time just to get to that point. I mean, this happened back in November of 2022. We're in 2025. And we haven't made a whole lot of progress in this case. Since I've been following it, it kind of feels like a game at times, kind of like a game of cat and mouse. The lead investigative agencies over this entire thing have been the Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, FBI. The prosecution is the Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. There's a lot of rumors about him too, but they're all alleged. Presiding Judge Stephen Hippler. Now, this is a small town, and a lot of times when you're dealing with small town politics, you got to be careful. There's always a boys club in every small town, and you got to make sure they keep their fingers out of it, because if not, things can get a little iffy. The surviving roommate, Dylan Mortensen, reported seeing a masked man with bushy eyebrows inside the house on the night of the murders. She said that she saw him walking through the house and had a mask on, and all she could see was, through this black ski mask, bushy eyebrows. And he was tall, what looked like to be a white figure, but it was dark. She couldn't really tell. The physical evidence. It was DNA on a knife sheath found at the crime scene. So they were all stabbed to death, and they're saying that he left his knife sheath next to, I believe, Kaylee and Maddie in that bedroom, and then they ended up finding that, and that's where they ended up getting DNA, and that DNA has been traced back through genealogy to Mr. Bryan Kohberger. The cell phone data placing Kohberger near the crime scene multiple times. I'm not sure how long it took him to figure this out, but it didn't take very long. He pinged in his vehicle with his phone near the residence quite a few times. Surveillance footage of a white Hyundai Elantra was circling the area. That's a bad look for Mr. Kohberger, because that is exactly what he drives. He was seen being pulled over on body cam footage shortly after all this, and him and his dad were both being a little weird, if you ask me. I mean, Dad hasn't really been implicated, but in my opinion, and this is alleged also, I believe that there was somebody else there with him. If it was his father, I would think that'd be pretty weird, but we live in a pretty weird society sometimes. Purchase records of a K-bar knife and a black balaclava. I hope I said that right, because if not, I don't even know what a balaclava is. Sounds like the balaclava is the mask that he was wearing that I referred to as a ski mask earlier. He was wearing a black balaclava and had a knife, and they found the sheath, and he had bushy eyebrows, and all that is going to come into play, and his white Elantra. So people have been online trying to figure this stuff out. There's a whole bunch of true crime sleuths that are all over this, and I don't know, everyone's got their own opinions on what happened. I've seen some nasty people going after this case, but I mean, hey, that's just part of this game. Some of the victims' affiliations were Ethan Chapin. He was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. That was literally right across from the house. Now, one thing I thought was rather weird about all that was their initials, or their letters on the frat is XE, were Xana and Ethan. Okay, so I thought it was interesting that they had the same letters in their first name. Is that a conspiracy? Shoot, maybe I just made it up. But hey, I definitely noticed that. Xana Kernodle attended Sigma Chi fraternity formal with Chapin on the night of the murder. So they had a formal dance. And from what it looked like Ethan, Xana, and a couple of their friends. And I don't think it was Kaylee or Maddie. It was a couple other people they went to these formal dance with. And I'm not sure exactly who it was. And like we said before, Bryan Kohberger was a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. There's been rumors and things have come out recently that people feel like this was almost like a experiment that he did to try and impress one of his professors over at DeSales. I'm sorry if I butchered that. It's in Pennsylvania. It's another, I think, criminology college or something. And because he was trying to impress her, he ended up calling her and talking to her about this. And she made some comments like, you better be careful. And people don't really know what that stuff even means. So the whole thing seems a bit colluded, and it's kind of weird, but I mean, hey, you have so much alleged stuff, and media is not exactly honest all the time, so you got to do your own research. I'm just telling you what I know and what I've seen. So it sounds to me like Bryan is playing a game in a sense and wants to see if he can get away with this. Now, I personally don't know if I could bring myself to do something this heinous if I was trying to, one, impress my professors, and two, you're really killing people. I mean, you're like, how do you think you're going to get off from this, right? It's kind of drastic is what I'm getting at. I don't really see it. So, the summary, what we do know is we do know it was on November 13th, early in the morning. We do know it was at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. We know the 4 victims were Gonzalez, Mogen, Kernodle, and Chapin. And we know that the suspect is Bryan Kohberger. The 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. I'm not sure what the count of felony burglary is. I should look into that. Why they would be getting him for that, I'm not sure. Maybe he went there and took something from these people, and that's something that this whole thing's about, and I have no idea, right? I will definitely look into that and be keeping you up on that. As far as Kaylee and Maddie go, it sounds to me like Kaylee was done with school, had just gotten her a new car, was going to move to Texas, got a new job, and had all this stuff going on, and then she was just visiting before she left or saying goodbye or something like that. And Maddie and her have been good friends for a long time, since high school. So that's her bestie. So, I mean, it's really sad. The whole thing is tragic and terrible. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I don't feel like it's I don't think it's a realistic thing for anybody to ever have to deal with. I mean, I feel terrible for their parents. Bryan seems rather pompous about the whole thing, like he's gonna get off, like they don't have anything on him. I don't know. As this case goes on, we will find out more and more once the actual trial starts. But as of now, there is a lot more to it. Some of the things that I've seen when I was looking into it was I noticed that some of the characters from the case, when you went and actually looked them up and found them, they actually had different names, almost like people were pretending to be other people. Now, does that mean this is like fake? No, I'm not saying that. I'm wondering why. The fraternity brothers were pretending to be other people, using other names. I thought it was rather weird. I haven't heard too many creators talking about that, so I'm not sure if people actually did catch on or did notice. It's definitely something I noticed and something I saw. So I will stay on this. This is the first episode of the Bryan Kohberger True Crime Stuff. Please subscribe. We're a brand new channel. We need some subs. And yeah, I will be covering every single true crime case I can find. This is just the beginning. Thank you for watching Ashes and Alibis. I am your host, Victor Kane, and until next time.